Today I'm going to take the new Gopro Hero 8 and I want to do two things with it. See how it works as far as time warp on something like a river, because that's kind of a neat little feature. I also want to look at Hypersmooth 2.0 and see how that works when you're doing something like whitewater kayaking, which is kind of all over the place, and see if it actually works better or not for that purpose, because, well, I'm a little skeptical. Now, let me start this whole thing by just mentioning that there really are a whole bunch of features that I love about the GoPro Hero 8, which are just slight improvements on every other model. Like this is 240 frames a second at 1080. It's kind of mind-blowing, right? And I have to mention this quick disclaimer. I have worked with GoPro in the past. I was one of their GoPro ambassadors. That doesn't mean they're sponsoring this video, but it does mean I have a lot of experience with different GoPros, so hopefully that just means I can explain what I think about the Hero 8 a little bit better. Alright, let's get started. Time Warp. Time Warp version 1 was already pretty amazing. This is the Hero 7 in an Africa shoot that I did, and look how much it's shaking on that Jaws clamp, and it's at night, but it gave me a butter smooth time lapse, just like this. It was pretty impressive, so I was curious how version 2 would work while I'm here on the river. Seemed to work pretty well on my way there over the gravel, but then again, I kinda knew that was gonna be the case. I'm gonna try Time Warp. So I set it to time warp, mounted it on my head, and started the process. Now note from the camera on the front of the boat here that it's not like I'm not moving. My head is moving quite a lot, even though I was trying to keep looking downriver. But look at what time warp does here. To me, this was pretty amazing because it's not necessarily all that simple. It's class 3, a little bit of class 4 mixed in water. And so I'm moving a lot, but it's pretty smooth. I definitely think this is a pretty good application of time warp now that I've looked at it. All right, now let's get to the Hypersmooth 2.0. Now let me explain why I was curious about Hypersmooth. You see this? This is not Hypersmooth. This is mounted to a kayak, and the kayak stays totally rock solid, and it actually works pretty well in the shot. This is also a POV where you see the helmet right down here at the bottom, my green helmet. That doesn't move at all. And I was filming Jonas on one of his first runs down the channel, and it's a little bouncy, but I never really had a problem with it because the water is moving with you. But just take a few seconds to look at this image, because I'm going to show you Hypersmooth in a second. Oh, that was the time that Jonas swam and cut his thumb. It was not the time he got stitches though, so I'll show you that one at another time. Now here's Hypersmooth 2.0, following a kayaker on the same section of the river. It still shows nice POV, but it's definitely taking a lot of shake out of it. Now this footage is shot at 4K 60 with Hypersmooth turned on and high bitrate. I was pretty impressed with the quality of the footage coming out because it is difficult to get good quality footage with all of the water. It's just really difficult for the compression. The camera seemed to hold up pretty well, and I actually really like the look of the shot. But the best shot may be from the front. Okay, this music may be just a little bit over the top, but it is how I was feeling while I was editing this, so I included it. I mean, look how cool this is at 240 frames a second with Hypersmooth turned on. The background is just so solid, and I love it. Last test. I wanted to get in my playboat and test Hypersmooth while getting rocked in one of the waves. I also wanted to see what would happen when I turned on boost. Now, I'm off to the side on this wave just so that I can show you Cameron, who is surfing this wave. That is what I will look like when I'm in it. But since I have the head cam on, you just have to take my word for it. Now, watch how smooth it is when I'm in the wave. I suppose I should point out that I'm looking directly into the sun, and I almost couldn't see in this situation, so I'm kind of surprised it even got this. It is a little contrasty, but that's what you got. Now the same wave with boost. You can't shoot with boost while you're super wide, so I actually had to just put the wide setting on, so that's a little bit of a downside for POV, but it is pretty smooth. So the big question is, do you think it's too smooth for standard POV? I don't know. I think that's up for debate. Leave your comment down below. I'd like to hear what you think. Subscribe for more, because we have these coming out every so often. Thanks again.